What's up, boys? Hey, everybody. It's been a little 2 week hiatus for you guys, but here we are. You got Bags, and you got GP, and you got JFDI here for another pod. And the tweets just hit the tweeting tweeter twats. So GP, have at it.
All right.
Is
Hi,
it on
guys.
Twitter?
No, you gotta wait like 10 minutes on stock twits and Twitter for the notifications to come up. Oh, there we go. Today they're early.
It wasn't 10 minutes. It might have been 10 seconds. But that's okay. 10 seconds can mean $10 million in this market because it moves so volatile, Nick.
Ah,
GP,
Yep, it does.
coming from the man who just said we haven't gone anywhere in 9 months.
Have
I
we?
mean, some of them they've been tradable. It's
Well,
just
there's your Q's monthly. Sorry, Nick.
no, that's all. Yeah, I don't have anything to add to it. Just other than you know,
So here's February. So if we take February, we are still up 3% since February, GP.
oh,
Are we?
We are.
Are you
This
taking
is
a specific
February.
day in February?
No, it's the monthly candle. My monthly candles. We are basically flat since May.
Okay. We're flat since March 1st.
I'll take May as a
Yeah.
reasonable answer.
March 1st. Yeah, that works.
Okay, GP.
oh, love it.
Okay, GP. We've missed each other. Can you tell?
Considering the high, what was it? High on March 1st was 18,372 on the NQs. We are exactly there, just like an hour ago. And then we'll be back there an hour. And then an hour from now, we'll be back there again. And then we'll be back there
Woo-hoo.
again in 2 hours. So, on a road to nowhere.
So we're going down, right? All our bullish theses are out the door because Powell's going to give us an interest rate cut. We are also the yield curve uninverted. So those things signify recession and doom. At least that's what I've read everywhere on the internet.
So here's my theory, right? Or my thesis, let's say, is that the money that's in the markets right now is only going to take us to the top of the range and to the bottom of the range. That's where the money is going to kind of just they're perfectly happy day trading or collecting premiums in this range. We need new money for this market to go higher. How do we get new money into this market? You cut rates.
Well,
You cut rates enough. So the first rate cut's going to be nothing, whether it's 0.5 or 0.25. You need rates to be cut. You need people to be forced out of their safe 5% treasuries and find a different allocation of that cash. And you get like Buffett's holding what, $300 billion in cash right now?
more treasury bills than God has ever printed.
Yeah. And he's happy collecting his 5%. Get those back down to 2%, 3%. He's going to start doing stuff with that money, right? He's not going to just hold on to it. So I think that's generally my thesis is this market is range bound for as long as that money that is staying on the sidelines stays on the sidelines, and until they get an opportunity to find a different allocation because their resources are perfectly fine. Dude, would you take if you let's take Tesla's Thursday and Friday action, right? If you were an investor in this market and you bought finally Tesla on after decades of not owning it, and you finally bought it on um on Thursday,
Yeah.
you're up like 5%. Friday, you were down 4%. So no one wants a part of this market. It's a trader's market, and until the trader's market gets back to being an investor's market, this is the stuff that's going to continue to happen, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Well, when you were talking about new money, I was ready to go break into the kids' piggy bank and dump you know 20 or $30 into the market to see if that would help.
Okay, that may help.
Nick,
Yeah, I kind of like, I mean, it's just kind of range bound chop. The I'm watching all the mega caps in particular just to see if they're gonna leg down because they'll obviously drag the Qs with it. I think we're just in a yeah, whether you want to call it a trader's market or stock pickers market, like obviously nothing's working great, but I think we're starting to see some obvious like relative strength in just some particular names. Like it's nice to see stuff like PLTR breaking out. I know that was kind of on S&P inclusion news, but like seeing stuff like that doesn't tell me that we're getting ready to like head into some massive rollover. I mean, maybe we are, but I think it was I can't remember somebody had tweeted earlier about seeing kind of the mega caps again kind of roll over, leg down, money kind of rotate out of the mega caps. Dude, if they all the megas more or less saw this coming, and I think that's why all of the splits obviously started happening to kind of
Yep.
weather this storm. Like the mega caps can go nowhere for years and still look phenomenal, be just fine. You know what I'm saying? So perhaps that kind of plays into your new money or just money moving around GP. I don't know how you feel about that.
So, mega caps are the mega caps, right? I don't really they trade in their ranges. They have their breakdowns and breakouts and whatever, right? It's never anything crazy. It's never anything big. The question I kind of want, like, so almost every stock in the recent history has run into the S&P inclusion, right? Palantir, you saw Palantir, like if you must have been blind because Palantir had strength when the markets were crashing, right? Like Palantir, like I have no idea why Palantir went to 21 on August 5th, but I'm pretty sure someone really wanted it cheap, right?
Yeah.
So it's you can see the relative strength that's been building into it before, and so and it's been building for quarters, right? So um, if you're looking at it as the S&P inclusion has been a almost death strike for almost every stock in the last 4 to 5 years, I would say, right? Um, and so, right, SMCI built up from 250 all the way to 1200 into that S&P inclusion, and it's now down 60%. And Tesla built up into that S&P inclusion at 220, right up, and it got all the way to 220 on that inclusion, and then it did double again, but that was the end of the cycle, and we are exactly back to 220 4 years later. Back like S&P inclusion has been the almost kind of death blow for a lot of names. I'm not saying every name. And then I'm like, okay, what was the other name that got included in the S&P? Why didn't that have the lead up? Why didn't have that? And you're like, okay, that's a different change of character. Dell. You guys watched the action in Dell? It couldn't stop getting sold
Yeah.
into the S&P inclusion. So I'm like, okay, well, the theory behind that conversation is that every smart money player is buying into the S&P inclusion. So when they finally get that that in
Parabolic, right?
news data, they
Yeah.
are now selling. There is nothing else to
Sure.
keep them in the stock. They got everywhere they needed to do. Let me reallocate that money. So does Dell become that outlier where they weren't buying into it? So now you should start to see relative strength in Dell and start to outperform. Can it be one of the ones that gets included in the S&P that actually start to build and break out, right? So I'm just curious on what you guys think there. Have
Uh,
you noticed it first, and do you think there's any merit to the Dell conversation here?
I think it's definitely something to be to have in the back of your mind if you're trading Palantir, especially like, I mean, we're just getting ready to break. We still haven't broken out of like it's kind of like massive IPO range highs up there at 45. So we still have some room, but I don't know. Sell some, hold some. I think is kind of how I kind of intend to play it.
Yeah,
It just needs 35.18 to close at an all-time monthly high.
Yeah.
and what has breaking out monthly highs done for every stock in the stock market this year? Right? Except for NVIDIA early on. Look at Netflix, broke out, dead. Melly broke out, dead. What was the other ones? I think ABB, Mew, right? Micron broke out, dead. Um,
Gold doing well.
yeah, well, we
So
talked about
so
gold for a long time.
so are you short-term bearish, GP? Is that what I'm sensing?
No, what I'm saying is, I think like I'm talking about a pocket of stocks, right? The S&P stocks in this case is like, okay, maybe Palantir does go higher here, right? But I think there's not the trend has been it's the end of that cycle move until the next cycle begins, right? And so the question was more along the lines of Dell, which is why didn't Dell have that run up into the S&P inclusion? Why didn't it show relative strength? So I'm assuming it was something that was maybe caught off guard for people, or there's something more nefarious or sinister going on in Dell. So that's what I was trying to debate. I'm like, does now Dell show that build up cycle?
Never rule out the nefariousness.
What's that?
Never rule out the nefariousness.
Yeah. That so I was just thinking about it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I know Dell has been strong, don't get me wrong, but they show their hands way before almost every stock that's going to be included in the S&P show it way before.
I don't know, GP. I think that's an interesting assessment, and you know, you're paying attention obviously to what's going on. I don't know. I think of when I hear the inclusion of the S&P, much like when a stock is announced for a split, like we see this run up, but it really doesn't do anything until quarters beyond that happens.
Yeah,
There has, from what I've paid attention to, there seems to have been uh, you know, uh, maybe a consolidation period that has some lows that might shake people, right?
yeah.
So that's kind of what I think when you said S&P inclusion, you were pointing at Dell, and it's like, well, yeah, if they're getting included, then maybe this is the point where you get some shakes and the weak hands fold and the strong buy up, and we see what happens uh, in a couple quarters or 2 or 3 quarters away.
That
So I
makes
would I
sense.
would I wouldn't expect in anything that's getting included all of a sudden, beyond a few weeks, I would expect it to cool off, for a longer period of time than it might break out. I think you're pointing at the prior monthly all-time highs, right? Sort of getting snuffed out at those levels.
It's
They
been sell the top of the
haven't
range.
collapsed, right? But at the same time, like they're not pushing higher, and that gives weak hands less conviction than others with stronger hands might have.
Yeah. It's just getting to the top of the range and selling off. And
Yeah.
it's not a lot of volume, so you know it's not like a double top. It's just not enough money in the markets to push these things higher.
So I don't know. That's a great looking at that. Oh boy, we're gonna get on coin. Steve says, "Oh boy, what a dog!" And Keta, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that in the chat, is saying they want to know about Bitcoin and coin. GP, I know you were buying you bought coin at the previous levels.
Yeah, so I'm a bag holder in coin right now, so it's just what it is. From the recent purchases, I still like everything that's going on, but for some reason, coin just it broke correlation last week, completely broke correlation to the rest of like the crypto space, right? Look at if you if you look at MicroStrategy, if you look at Bitcoin, all kind of at like the 200 day or whatever, and coin just obliterated. And it's what it is. I think it it then ends up playing catch up the other way.
Yep.
Or doesn't, or maybe there's something more nefarious going on. I don't know. Uh,
Hey,
but
Nick, when we looked at this chart last time, I think both of us kind of were thinking 115-ish level. You still looking there, or you're not even paying attention to coin anymore?
Yeah, well, I mean, near term, I'm looking at that though, yeah, pretty much all those gap fills. So like the first one, like 140, then 132, and then yeah, down kind of the 120s. Um, I don't know if I'm like reading into this too much, but like I can't help but something feels kind of odd to me in the crypto space in general, with like how much it's just being pumped kind of like all over the place from, politicians to all over the fucking Twitter space. And it's not like it's not is Bitcoin just in a range up here or
I think so.
yeah, okay. I mean,
same
like
I mean,
camp.
we can get to that,
Bitcoin,
and Bitcoin is going to push Coinbase around. Uh,
right.
I put these marks on the chart last time we talked. And I turned them back on. I cleared all the other stuff off the screen. But these were the levels, and I think that 160 area was one spot, and we're obviously below that. Then you come down into the 140 area here that uh, uh, Nick was just mentioning right there. But I can't not look at this and see the big Batman, right? I drew it there in white if you can see it. Um, I hope that doesn't happen, but I mean that's a real possibility. It comes up here and then does that. And then that would be looking down here in the 70s. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. I'm still on my thesis, and now we'll get to some Bitcoin talk. I still think my September prediction's right in line. It's kind of deviated a bit from that, you know, estimated track I put on, but let's open some crypto
Oh,
charts here, Bags.
and Bitcoin in particular, you think like so if 50 doesn't hold, do you think like mid 30s come quick, or do you think
Oh,
38.
if we don't hold here in the 54, 53-ish range, we're going down here to 47, 46s.
okay?
And if that happens, I wouldn't be surprised to see a retest of this. And then you've got I hate to draw this, but then you've got a potential Batman move here too. As a not the best drawing, but I think you can see maybe more Bart Simpson than Batman. But yeah, I could see we break this little megaphone that's here.
Kind of, it seems like we're just kind of in a 55 to 70
But
range.
we're in September, and I think we're going to see it move. If I pull up September's of the past, this is when things start happening. Like we can go back to 2023, things started happening. We can go back to 2022. We still had some down. 2021, pretty good push up. So two of the last three Septembers have been a push up. I can go back further, but I'm not going to waste everybody's time with that. So I think we've got a good chance of still coming up through here in September. And we're a week into the month. So I'm not too concerned, but yeah, Nick, if I saw it break 53,
Break and close, right? I would imagine.
break
Not
and
like,
close, yeah, break and close, then I mean obviously it broke right here on this candle a few weeks ago. But yeah, a break and close below that, that would be problematic.
Are
yeah,
you a seller then of Bitcoin, or just a just a holder? Or like what are your
Well, I mean, everybody's positions are different, right? And
Sure.
I didn't add more Bitcoin than what I already own from back in the four digits.
Yeah,
So, I probably would just be a holder, but I would probably be throwing my alts out the window quick, fast, and in a
sure.
hurry.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of alts are down 50, 60% in the last 6 months. So they've not been a fun place to be. And altcoin season hasn't been able to get going, for years now.
And
But
again, GP, like I can't help but think like I don't really think Bitcoin looks very good. And I don't know if that means it looks so not good to me that it looks great. Like we're just at the low end of the range here, which what does look good, but
I agree with you, Nick, and I'll let GP answer this. I agree with you. Technically, it doesn't look great. But this Bitcoin dominance chart, I know I've referenced it, and for the last how many weeks? 8 weeks now, we've been in this tight range at the top, and we're starting to see the Stoke and the RSI maybe start to roll over a little bit. Bitcoin dominance itself rolling over is not a bad thing. That just means that alts are starting to outperform Bitcoin. I think that we might start seeing that. So while Bitcoin, my anticipation is um, we're going to break out of this range. Um, it might not be long after the alts really start popping, but we'll see. I wish I had a crystal ball to give everyone 100% certainty, but I don't.
so
sure.
Nick, take a look at like the May to June 2021 time period against the weekly 50 on a weekly chart, right? So
On Bitcoin.
very kind of
Right
very
here.
kind of similar structure as we're looking at right now, which is
Yeah.
like one nasty red candle down, but slightly higher of the 50-week rising moving average. Then you have one that definitely tags it, and then a third one where it kind of closes right at it, and then we move to the double top, right? I and that was kind of a rounding top there. It was a double top, and then it died, right? So I think this current pattern looks very similar to that time period, and we go, but I don't think it's the same double top pattern, right? That I think, but I'm not the only one that's a Bitcoin bull, right? I think there's so many, which is making it everyone's just like when, right? Not when you have those moments in charts when everyone's like Bitcoin when 100,000 or
Yeah.
80,000 or whatever, they don't ever end up happening. So that's what's stuck in the back of my head is like,
Mine too.
I see this. This is clear. I'm pretty sure everyone sees this because it's pretty clear
Yeah.
that these are the setups destined for failure. So
I
I
I'm
got
kind
that
of
in the back of
thinking
my
that's
head.
where your new money comes from, though, is like money rotating out of like, let's just say Bitcoin or other crypto stuff, the mega caps, because like at some point your Google, Amazon, whatever, they're over owned. It's like even if they do grow, like so fucking what? There's like everybody owns it. So
Well,
it's kind
here's,
of
here's
like,
what
I feel like the money that you're talking, like the new money, like what I think it's trying to find is like the new, like actual leaders that are going to lead cycle over like the next several cycles, not the mega cap continuing to step in and lead. Is kind of what I think is what we're trying to figure out, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. But ultimately, the mega caps have not led, period. Right? Like
Sure.
they're every space that's in a startup, Google or Amazon or all these guys are kind of in that space already, right?
Yeah.
That they're already involved in it. So um, I don't think they're not going to have like the thousands of percents moves anymore. They're just too mature,
Sure.
right? But what I meant by what I meant by new money was overall market money,
Sure.
right, Nick?
Oh, yeah.
If you let's say there's only $5 trillion in the money market right now, they're like, well, everything kind of sucks. So when it gets to the top of the range, I'm out. When it gets back to the bottom, like it always has in the last 5 years or whatever, then I'll buy it again, and then also look at resistance until there's a reason for these things to stop doing what they've been doing consistently, which is rejecting resistance, buying support. And you don't see new money come into the markets until those things happen, right? Or the new money is coming into the market to make those things happen, either way.
Sure.
So I think that's the case, and um, I I know there's a trader on, or there's an investor on StockTwits, Swing Toronto or whatever his name is,
yeah.
and he gets a lot of hate and whatever. But I think what if you listen to what he's saying, and his 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 saying is what a lot of people are feeling, right?
Yeah.
Whether NVIDIA doubles from here or whatever happens from here, but a lot of people are like, where the fuck do I put my money? Because I don't really know. So it's going to stick in treasuries until I have a better idea of where to put my money.
Yeah.
And that's the money I'm talking about. It's like those people who are sitting on the sidelines to see what happens, well, who wins the election, what happens with this soft landing scenario, are we entering a recession? And my personal camp is everyone is talking about a recession, right? The slowdown in jobs growth and all that other stuff. But did you hear the second word? It was jobs growth, not jobs losses. So it's a slowdown in a still growing environment. Even the revisions are positive still. Maybe they're not as much as they first said, but they're still overall increasing labor market. So my general thesis in this market in general right now is that we will be entering a cutting cycle into a trough of a growth cycle. And what does that usually mean? So for me, that means an explosive move higher, right? Because as that cutting into a growth cycle happens, not a recession, but into a growth cycle, you are now fueling the next leg higher. I don't know if that's the case. We'll need more data, but that's what my spidey senses are saying at this point, that they are cutting into like, like if jobs are going like this, like up, right? But you kind of have a little dip here. Does that mean the job market's just going to collapse this way? That's because that's what everyone's expecting, right? Like straight down from here. Versus what if it's just steady, kind of growing, and they're trying to figure stuff out, and it's just going to start expanding more and more over time.
Yeah.
And so I think they're cutting into that type of cycle potentially here, and that's why everyone's. Do you remember 2022 when everyone was like, "Hey, the inversion means the end of the world," and now it's the uninversion
Boom.
means the end of the world.
Yes.
So the narratives continue to change. I think the Fed has so far, if you want to give them credit, done a fantastic job, right? We could have we could have been in a much, like, if they didn't get inflation under control, we'd be in a much, much worse market. Um, they've done all the tools that they've deployed. Maybe they're a little late, but so far their intended outcomes, so far to me, and I'm just
On the money.
huh? On
They're
the
on
money
the.
so far.
I mean, I can complain. They might have started a little late or didn't start early enough, and they're ending late. But for the most part, they've been on the money. We could all been a lot worse off with how they've handled this so far.
Yeah. And so the question I ask you too, um, like in your circles, do you guys know people who have lost their jobs and haven't been able to find any in months on end?
I
I
mean,
do
I
know a couple people. Yeah,
Couple, and
play a
they
lot of.
can't find any work?
yeah.
Is this based on like your local region area or
No, just friends in my former profession.
okay. Nick?
I employ a lot of college kids just with my valet company, and it's like, and I've asked them over the last kind of year, you know, periodically, like what they're doing. They haven't, from my what I'm gathering is they don't have a problem finding an internship. They're not, they don't have quite the pick of where they want to go work when they graduate, but they're not having so much as trouble getting getting work. Yeah, as far as people getting laid off, the people that I do know, like they've been picked up pretty quick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, or the people who are the ones I don't know anyone, but what I know of people through friends, the ones that I know, they're just kind of being picky, right? Like they've had some interviews like, oh, it's not the right job for me or
yeah,
whatever. They're they're more years into their experience and stuff like that. So I don't see it personally, and you hardly see it anywhere else. And the other thing I notice is everywhere I go is still insanely packed. And I think consumers are so you'll get recessions in certain
yeah,
industries,
yeah,
right? So one of my general thesis is that consumers are like tired of paying these high prices and they are fighting back, but they're fighting back by not buying the people who refuse to come down with the rest of the group, right? And so like the one thing that sticks out to me is wings, right? Or Wingstop. Wings are so expensive that but their cost of goods are back to like their 2019 2020, but their prices are double triple that and they refuse to come lower on those, and those are the industries you'll start to see consumers fight back even more, be like, you know what, screw
Except at
this.
Applebee's, they're 50-cent wings now.
Yeah, and people are going to choose Applebee's over
Buffalo
Wingstop.
Wild Wings. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, if you guys listened to the Target or saw the Target report or the Walmart report, they're seeing upticks across the board, right? So, like, hey, you want to charge $32 for a coffee? You know what? I'm not going to Starbucks anymore. I will just make it at home or whatever it is. So that's my general thesis is that we will see recessions in industries because they are not making the necessary changes to the environment, but not overall.
Hey
I'm
Nick, I
yeah,
did forget one thing. I
yeah,
was just talking about Bitcoin itself.
yeah.
Last week I did start a position in my long-term holdings with IBIT. So
Oh, I didn't.
not only do I custody my own coin, I also bought some of the ETF of IBIT, which
Right
is
on.
Bitcoin. So to think of it that way, I bought pretty low last week. If it undercuts that 47 area, which is here, if it goes below that, I'll probably wait to see where it finally starts to find a base before I add any more.
Sure.
Um, but if it bounces there, I'll buy off the bounce. So that's kind of where I'm looking at that. And obviously, if we go higher, I'll add to that position higher. That'll be a eventually IBIT will be a top five holding for me in the short term.
Right on.
I want some wings now, GP. Thanks.
But look, so bring up the Wingstop chart and you can see the topping formation that's happening here, right? It's showing you to me, this is the topping formation, right? And so, like, I think you'll start to see it in these names, right? That refuse to, it's gone nowhere for how long now?
I was pulling up Starbucks because
No,
you
no,
talked about it.
no.
Basically, since February,
Yep.
we're back right back where we were February.
And you're seeing distribution, so um, it's I think
A
if you count,
tasty short offering.
it's not short yet because it hasn't broken any levels, but it's been on my radar for months now because you could see it on the charts, and I'm like, this is kind of topping pattern. So you may see a recession in the expensive, useless chain names, right? So
Yeah.
um,
I was appalled. I went to a local, well, it's not, it's a chain, but I went to a local to me um, chicken joint, and they have wings, and it was $14 for six wings, a little bit of fries, and a drink. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And
which
they were great. I was expecting like the best wings I ever had. No, they were not. They
so
No.
just
what would you have normally expected to pay for those?
8 to
10,
10 bucks.
10, yeah.
But $1 a wing, right? Plus fries and a
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So six, like $9 to $10 or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It was, how
Yeah.
about
So
10,
the
$10? Sure.
but their cost of goods are cheaper
It's the
than they
same.
were, or cheaper than when they were in
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
2019. And you're like, okay, I'm pretty sure you signed a lease that's signed you into your pricing for years too. Like most people sign 10-year leases, right? So in a commercial space. So yeah, I think there's a lot of greediness going on overall, but yeah, it should be interesting. I
I
know
know
everyone.
Kroger's
I
getting
mean,
hammered,
there's
not just
this.
from the
It's so
Harris campaign, but Kroger's getting hammered from every business news out there for everything that they've said that they've done over the last 4 years, which is, it's in the grand scheme of things, groceries haven't escalated higher than other things, but it's the things that people have to buy every day, so it becomes more noticeable.
Yep.
So while they're being taken to task, I think there's probably other companies that share in equal or more so blame than our grocery stores. But at the same time, I think dynamic pricing. I mean, we saw that a few months ago with Wendy's, right? When they said on a conference call or something that they were
Yeah,
going to do dynamic pricing through their app and at the drive-through window and whatever.
you got a
Uh,
bid for your burger.
People don't like that. I mean, Ticketmaster is a bit different, obviously. Live Nation, when you're buying tickets, tickets when they first go on sale for popular concerts are more expensive than they ever are usually. And if you buy them off the secondary market, they're even more expensive. So Ticketmaster's been doing dynamic pricing for a long time, but you don't really have an option. They're practically a monopoly in the space, right? And then you have all kinds of food options or goods options, and we don't really view that in the same light because a venue or something that's experiential, right? And
Yeah.
what's the value of a good time versus how much does it cost me and my family to actually live? So
There's still there's still a lot of froth in that space, in a lot of these spaces, right? These service spaces is where
Yeah.
I'm like, it drives me nuts. Like I went to a comedy club a couple of weeks ago, $24 tickets for me and my wife, so $48 tickets. My final fees were like, I ended up paying 63, and I'm like, how the fuck, what?
Yeah.
And
Fucking
that
ridiculous.
I didn't realize it. I just paid it, right? And then I looked at the bill. I'm like, wait, what? 63? And it was $12 in a service fee. Dude, what service? You're not printing the tickets. You're not, all you're doing is emailing them to me, which is all automated.
you
So,
you
like,
you troubled us to ask us for tickets. That's the
yeah.
service fee.
So there's still froth in this world that's going to get trimmed because people are going to get tired of this stuff. A Ticketmaster does this kind of do.
Hey
Yeah.
Randy, Randy's with us in the chat. Randy, are you still in Live Nation? I know you liked that a while back. Just curious. Sorry, GP. Go ahead.
No, you're good. No, no, I'm just there's still like it's across the board, right? People think that yeah, I'm gonna cut your grass or whatever, and what was $20 couple years ago is now gonna be 100, and you're like, what? Right?
You must be
So
out your mind.
everybody wants to take this kind of inflation scenario and use all bullshit reasons. Like even haircuts. Haircuts used to be like 4 or 5 years ago, $16. Now I can't find even supercuts is $23 or $25 or something like that. And I'm like, this is kind of nuts. I'm like, you want it normally takes 30 to 45 minutes to cut my hair, and you want $50 for an hour cash?
Randy said he's out of Live Nation, by the way.
Yeah. So there's still a lot of froth in the service industries. I think people are trying to get rich off industries that normally don't give you that kind of wealth, but we'll see what happens.
Time flies when friends haven't gotten together for 2 weeks. We're already 45 minutes in. Hey, Nick,
Yeah.
I know this has been an extremely exciting market to trade. Not really. What are you looking at? Anything right now, or are you just kind of hitting
The
pause and just kind of letting things do whatever they do and figure it out once we start seeing more bases?
no, so or yeah, sure. Standouts they are IoT obviously, and then Palantir. Vive and Duolingo were both kind of on my radar. I don't have a Duolingo position, but I do in Vive.
Dude,
Just
Duolingo looks great,
take
by the way.
little setups here and there, and just kind of like throwing small positions on to see what works, what doesn't. It's a lot of like kind of just feelers what I'm kind of doing right now. I'm tempted to throw a couple of feelers on in the SMH space here, like Clack is sitting on the 200 day. Like I don't know if the SMH names are quite done, like if they're setting up another big run here or not.
Another
But
leg down.
I think like as much as I don't like trading AMD, actually in fact I fucking hate trading AMD. I do for some reason think like it looks okay. So where like I'm looking to see if the SMH names put in like a higher low here basically. And so the pivot from a couple weeks ago is kind of the would be like the confirmation that we put in a higher low here. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I'm obviously watching all kind of like the expensive stocks. Like I like,
Base hit, base hit, base hit, right? Like just
yeah,
don't try to be a hero. Just stay on base and don't get out.
yeah, totally. It's like manage mental capital while also trying to kind of like again just I don't know. See, I don't know. Maybe that's kind of a junkie mentality, but like I love to have feelers on. Like it gives me a good if when I have like small feelers on, like I feel like I have a pulse on which way the market wants to move based on like just my P&L, no matter how big or small my P&L is. Like just whether or not it's like, red or green, like I don't know. That's just kind of the way I'm playing it and playing the market currently. STX is looking pretty good. Another one of the drop names, kind of like, if it pushes through the 50-day here. That CPNG was a major disappointment. I mean,
Ooh, bang.
I totally dumped out of that thing, but I was that was Copang is going to be one of those ones where I'm like, dude, you got way too big. I put on way too fucking big of a position. Like, I don't know. It was just a stupid trade, but it didn't. It very well could have worked out. It just didn't.
Yeah, I still like the SMH names, obviously. Um, I've been consolidating positions, and I've not done it all in one go. But adding more to AMD, adding more to Amazon, not here, but slowly. Um,
You said to Amazon or to ARM?
Amazon,
Oh,
AMD, Amazon, iBit. Um, what else did I throw in there? Oh, Roblox.
I was gonna say
GP, if you'd like
Roblox
to talk
is
about
great.
Roblox, I've been adding some Roblox. No, GP's not interested in Roblox anymore.
I like it. I like it. Sorry, the market's closing, so just responding to a couple of
Yes,
questions.
yes, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
You got
just feels like the we could really move either direction. Like the megas could drag us, down and leg us down, which I don't even think that would look that bad. It'd be kind of frustrating just considering I have long positions on, but at the same time, I think a higher low here would look phenomenal, especially like just we're right on the 200 day, and I think a higher low here would look really pretty. Like ARM in particular, like that's another one of those SMH names where kind of a nice double bottom look, that would kind of confirm through like 135, 140. The setups
Which
are out
name,
there,
Nick?
they're
I'm
just
sorry,
not.
which name 135, 140?
What's that?
ARM.
Which name
Oh,
were you just saying? ARM?
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think the setups are out there. I mean,
I honestly think NVIDIA looks pretty damn good. I like
yeah,
if
I'm happy to
we
not see any follow through from that bar, from Friday's bar.
but this is typical of NVIDIA, right? Breaks everything and gives up everyone's hopes and then reverses the other way. That same pattern literally is the August 5th pattern. Take a look at it, right? It's four candles that are in the same tight range and then off it goes. So like it's four candles and let's say we don't know the trend. Trend was necessarily buying up. So if we're gonna follow the trend here, you have four candles, whichever way this tight range breaks is the next direction of where Nvidia goes. So yeah, if you're a bull and that happens and it breaks down, then you want to be like, okay, well, I need to swap my positioning because this particular setup happened this way and it went up, and this time it's going down. So the thesis is wrong. So you need to swap from a be long and get short, right? But it's almost the same exact setup. It's one crazy down candle. It's one like it's three or four candles that are very tight here, and so
On the daily.
yeah.
I mean,
And so
it's still holding my crayon drawings.
yeah,
So I mean,
no
I'm
new
not
lows either.
right. I'm not freaked out about it at all. Hey, we got a few minutes. You guys want to take a couple charts real quick?
In 1 minute, I have a quick question.
Go.
What are our quarterly picks? I completely forgot.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're all exactly where they started or worse.
I have them written.
We're so good.
My office is a mess.
Yeah, we're gonna have to stop doing this program. Every time we do it, it's or I'm gonna have to stop doing it because I suck at it.
I know. You guys keep letting me win. Where did I should have them on here.
Your coin, I know that, right?
Tesla,
That's
JD, and no, that's not right.
no, that's last quarter.
I will have to get back to you. Yes, you chose coin. I chose Bitcoin, and Nick chose ICE.
I
And we
chose
have
And how
until the
and what
end of
was
this
Bitcoin?
month.
What was Bitcoin at? You chose it?
Bitcoin on July 8th was
Damn. I should have actually put my money where my mouth was. I totally lost track of it.
July 8th. We're basically right where we were.
So Bitcoin is exactly where it was on July 8th, but coin is down 60% or 50%.
And ICE, I didn't write it down, but July 8th. Whoa, Nick.
Nice, Nick.
I don't know. I I totally lost track of it though.
15%er.
Shit.
It's pretty good, Nick.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop playing this game because even though Bitcoin is still in the exact same place, coin is down 60%.
Well, remember that's what I said. I said coin might be more volatile than Bitcoin.
Yep. 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 I remember it.
Do we want to do shorts or we'll just pass?
No, let's go answer some questions.
All right. The first one is Viper says TMO. Thermo Fisher Scientific. Nick, this is your space, right?
TMO. Oh, looks good.
Would you bless it? Would you buy it here?
Does that not look like the IWM chart?
It kind of
Yeah,
does.
would. Oh,
It's
whoever
kind of
said that.
familiar.
Yeah.
But
Would
one
you
looks like
would you
it's
put
going to
money
break
to work
down.
in TMO, Nick,
Yeah,
right now?
I'd throw a starter on.
GP?
I would 100%. It looks exactly like the idea IWM chart, but this one's actually breaking out.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Exactly what I was going to say. I like it. I think any bit higher and you've broken through this shit range that it was in. I won't
And
count the
close
extreme
above
high.
619 is the highest close in this
Yeah,
entire range. So
yeah, I like it.
it's a breakout. If it fails, it fails, but it's a breakout at this point. Um, and you want to see there's still one little tiny range around 631, where because every chart is getting rejected at every resistance. So that's one area I would look at. But this looks like it's actually gonna push up and through. So
Randy asked about Crown Castle CCI. Randy, I actually love this chart right here. Um, I have traded Crown Castle in the past. I haven't been paying attention to it. But I do like this setup for continuation,
Yeah.
at least up into the 120s, 130s. So
I
you got a couple more percent at least, but I think it can go higher. Crown Castle is very important to our infrastructure of telecommunications and wireless. Anybody?
yeah,
I think,
I don't know about
yeah,
any of that stuff. The chart looks okay. Like what on a monthly basis, what's drawing you here?
On the monthly basis, what's drawing
Yeah.
me? It's above the 9 and 20 monthlies. It is out of that 115 range that I can draw a line back from here on. I like it. I see that as a failure,
Okay.
right? You went higher and then you fell. So as long as it closes up above 115, I like it.
yeah, I like it too.
Yeah. Dude, how did Apple go green on an event day?
App,
Did they give us new iPhones today?
Yeah, but they're the same as last year, so you're fine.
Yeah, no, I was being facetious.
oh, well, that rip into the close.
Yeah, monster up into the close. So this is the opposite of like 3 months ago, where we went up 10% in 2 days. This time we'll go down 10% in 2 days.
Well, Tom Lee said 7 to 10%, and he got 7% basically last week.
He
He
got
said
that on Tuesday.
he said it's a buyable dip. Rip
Dude,
it.
we got all the September seasonality, brothers, to get rewarded for that behavior in 4 days.
Yep.
4 days.
Rip it. Um, Me, Monkey Banana Genius, and I were talking about how we're about to see some new macro perma bears printed based off of the yield curve uninverting and the rate cuts because they're all losing their mind that we're going to hell. Um, I I really think that we're gonna close this year 2024 higher than here. That that's
Yeah,
my that's my shtick and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
I think this all resolves to the upside once elections are done.
Yeah.
Great.
And so you can talk about FOMC, you can talk about jobs and stuff like that. But I think it's the elections that's actually keeping a lot of this stuff at bay for the
For sure.
moment.
The
Um,
top is not in for 2024, in my humble opinion.
no, like when you get moves like what Friday was or what Tuesday was, those weren't down. Like, of course, they were down days, but they weren't like panic selling people worrying. If you saw the move, it was literally it was like down. It was like sidestepping all the way down, right?
Yep.
That's not panic. It's flow driven, position driven
Completely
movement.
organized.
Yeah, and that's why look in any other market, Nick, before 2019, right? 2020, before we started getting so flow dominant.
Yeah.
Um, any other market, a day like Friday and Monday would
Yeah.
have been a nasty day. A
Yeah.
nasty day,
Wild follow. Yeah.
right? And instead, what do we get? We almost gave back. We almost got back Friday's candle.
Yep.
So like I've been saying it. People like try to mock me and stuff on it. Is like we have evolved from a like regular organic market to a flow driven market over the last couple of years, like especially since 2020, right? So a lot of this stuff is it's that daily positioning flow, and that's why you hardly see follow through, right? That's why I was so surprised to see August 5th follow through on of all things the yen carry trade and a VIX 67. So
It's unreal, actually, just the things that we get fed, and we make boogeyman out of anything, right?
yep,
Nick, I thought you're our psychological one. We make boogeymen out of the smallest things, and then
Yeah.
it's unreal, and it's just human nature. I'm not blaming anyone for it.
yeah, I think
Strategy double bottom here off the 200-day looks fucking pretty.
Which one, Nick?
On MicroStrategy, you're with your Bitcoin stuff.
but do
Uh,
you see the underperformance in MicroStrategy today too? Compared to Bitcoin,
yeah.
Bitcoin is doing a nearly 5% move, right? A 5% move in Bitcoin in the past would have been like 15-20% in MicroStrategy.
It was 9 today.
Yeah, so it's slacking. Piece of shit. It's already gotten like, yeah. I
This
think
piece of shit. Hey guys, I'm sorry for my inconsistency. I know we had the holiday last week, and I've been dealing with some health things, so I appreciate you guys being patient, especially all the viewers. But GP Nick, I know you guys like doing this, and I love doing it too. So we'll try to get more consistent. I'm going to be missing Mondays uh, in the future for a little bit, so we might have to figure out a secondary day. But the pod's not dead. We're still here. Life just happens, right?
yeah, I think we should talk about another day for sure because
Yeah.
Mondays are footballs as well. So
Oh yeah.
no, as in like less people are paying attention. They're more worried
Yeah.
about their fantasy teams and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I think the goal of all of us to talk here is to try to educate based on what we've seen and what we've done. Are we right? Are we wrong? A lot of times we're both. So,
Yeah.
um, and we
Well, I
want to
think
make
what we do
sure.
great is we come at it from our learned experiences, right? Our experiences and the way our that leads our perception. And I think that's great insight because as we mentioned that we all do things differently, and the more we can learn from each other, hopefully the better we get.
Yep.
100%.
All right, my brothers.
All right,
Thanks for
guys.
tuning in. Hey, thanks, uh, GP, Nick, thanks for showing up. Thanks to everybody who hopped on, Randy. It's always great to see you, Brian, everyone else. You can always go back and watch this on demand, and we hope you do. But with that, we'll say peace out.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Okay.